The way we are born is the way we'll look for the rest of our lives. From our eyes, to our hair, to our nose, to our hands, everything is set in stone from birth. This makes us all unique in our own ways, just like our distinct personalities. Some of us are quieter, louder, cool-headed, hot-headed, reserved, outgoing. However, unlike our physical appearance, our personality is quite refined by us, whether subconsciously or consciously. No matter who our parents are, children can all turn out wildly different from their parents, and even from each other. But if I told you that personality can also be inherited, would you believe me? Inheritance depends on a lot of factors. On the molecular level, inheritance is all rooted in the DNA, which is the genetic material present in the core of all the cells in our body. On an even smaller level, genes are the building blocks of DNA that are designated for the specific traits that we inherit. Specifically, we inherit a combination of genetic patterns from our parents, and this combination can never be changed. However, even though this genetic sequence is unwavering, the way our body interprets the sequence can change. This is called gene expression. Think of your DNA as an ambiguous poem. Someone who has experienced a happier life will interpret the poem in a much more positive light. On the other hand, someone who has had a rough life will interpret the poem in a much more negative way. This concept is the basis of epigenetics, the study of how the environment around us influences the way our body reads our genetic sequences. In the early stages of life, the most significant factor that affects a child's behavior is their parents. Whether intentional or unintentional, parents serve as a model for how a child thinks that they should act. Whether or not parents are a good influence or a bad influence, children will reflect their parents' behavior either way. There are 4 main types of parenting that have been categorized by psychologists. The healthy parenting style is called authoritative parenting, which is characterized by warm nurturing while holding their children to high expectations. Children who have been raised this way reflect healthy physical and psychological behaviors. On the other hand, 3 main harmful parenting styles have been identified. These include authoritarian parenting, permissive parenting, and negligent parenting. Authoritarian parenting is not nurturing while still having high expectations. These children end up closed off, have anger issues, and resent authority figures. Permissive parenting is nurturing while maintaining little to no expectations. Boundaries are usually trespassed by these children. These children end up very stubborn, egotistical, and unable to heed directions. Negligent parenting is not nurturing while maintaining zero expectations. These children feel lost or helpless with the demands of everyday life because they were never guided on how to navigate life in the first place. These harmful parenting styles have damaging consequences in the mental health of these children, especially because it can last throughout adulthood if left untreated. This is because these consequences can be reflected in the genes of these children due to the changes in gene expression due to the environment that these children have been raised in. Since these children are constantly exposed to these harmful environments, their body adapts by changing its bodily processes in anticipation of facing these harmful situations over and over again as a defense mechanism. For example, children who have authoritarian parents are constantly in fear of being punished by their parents for making mistakes, no matter how small the mistake may be. This means that the body's stress response is constantly activated by the hormone cortisol. Due to this repeated exposure, the body gets used to secreting cortisol, which changes the gene expression to be much more inclined to secrete cortisol, even in not so stressful situations. Situations like these are how epigenetics plays a role in imprinting these negative behaviors in these children well into their everyday life, causing mental health problems like PTSD, substance abuse, depression, and personality disorders. However, even though many children are stuck with the fate of bad childhoods, there is the opportunity to heal and break away from the binds of trauma as adults. Seeking help from licensed and professional psychologists and therapists can help these victims recover from the damage their childhoods have caused. Therapy can help victims be more aware of the reasons behind their current state of health and become more accepting of themselves. This, in turn, helps victims understand how to remove themselves from the blame of all their problems and instead understand how to confront and heal them, ensuring brighter days ahead. Life is like a gamble since the beginning of our lives. Randomly, we get parents who will influence us for the rest of our life, whether good or bad. Unfortunately, many people in this world are forced to suffer through harmful parenting, influencing these people down to their genes, setting them up for a life of misery and fear. However, even though fate may not have rolled the lucky numbers, it is up to us as adults on how we want to move on the board game of life, pursuing paths towards fulfillment no matter what hurdles we may come across.